Center for Energy Workforce Development is a Virginia component of that. The governor has a workforce commission that is looking across the state, not just at one particular industry segment, but a number of areas, healthcare and other things. And so my view has been, we don't want to just duplicate or repeat. What we need to do is use the value of what the VNEC is to extract what are the real needs and issues that the nuclear industry in Virginia has identified. What are the kind of the answers, the responses, the solutions, the recommendations that we can come out of with that, and then begin to work with the Governor's Workforce Commission and work with others to make sure that what we think needs to help us gets put into what those groups do as the next steps. And for example, the Governor's Commission is, it seems, apparently, the Executive Director has said this, is going to have recommendations for the Governor and the Legislature come December. I want to be sure that what we come up with for the nuclear industry is included in that. So that's kind of where this is being pointed primarily right now. So as part of that, in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, we're going to meet with the Executive Director of the Workforce Commission and begin to put our results together with them and begin to talk about how we can make some steps forward. At the same time, I think, go ahead.
Are you equated, is the Workforce Commission equivalent to CEWD?
No, they're two different
things. Okay.
Yeah, they're two different, and we're going to coordinate with CEWD as well. I mean, I'm going to try and cover the waterfront, but again, I want to be able to go in with those groups and say, here's what we are finding within the Commonwealth, within the nuclear industry, and how then figure out how we fit with the other things. So that's all afoot. That's what we're trying to do right now. But I figured the first thing we need to do is figure out, all right, what do we really need, and how do we turn those needs into specific actions that we can, again, put in front of other entities as actions begin to be developed on workforce. So I hope that kind of was somewhat clear. So that's yeah. So that's kind of where we're going with that.
So I guess you already somewhat mentioned the other issues, rather not issues, opportunities we have. We want to seek out other organization membership.
Can I?
Yes.
Sorry. One other thing that I want to mention was, if your organization has workforce issues or would like to contribute to the database that we're trying to look at for workforce needs, even if you're not a member of VNEC, we can make this survey available to you. We'd like to kind of turn it around quickly, obviously, but we're happy to do that. So if you just grab me or grab April or something, we can make sure that you get access to the surveys, submit the data, and we can make sure that it adds. Because it's, it's 5 significant companies, but it's still just 5 entities. And if you look at the whole database that Randy and guys have put together over the years, there's a lot more entities in the state that are involved in the nuclear industry.
Okay. So as I think Marshall mentioned, he's trying to bring the attention to the governor's office and work with them on the issues of workforce and also the needs. Actually, we didn't mention, we had a discussion on the education side, nuclear education. There is significant need in the state of Virginia. And I was mentioning that most other states have significant investment by the state, and we have a very limited investment. And I think that's a major issue that we need to, if we really want to expand, we need to, the state has to make investment in education.
Was that a result that you discovered in the survey data in your initial cut, in terms of the absence of a robust Virginia nuclear education? And I assume when you say Virginia nuclear education, you're talking about the secondary sort of graduate school or college?
It's both. It's both, because we, until I would say 2006-07, Virginia did not offer any nuclear program. Why? We have a strong nuclear industry. I was professor at Penn State in Florida. My former students are here. They work at Dominion and other places. So there's no nuclear engineers trained here. So we have to change that around. If we really want to have a vibrant industry, we have to have education element. And that's the part that the state really has to make some investment. So obviously we are here to give a report.
This is kind of our view of how, we want to make sure that we have a good coordinated, integrated relationship with you all. Certainly the easy part of that is to say we'll be here at every meeting, presuming you want us. We'll give a little bit of an update of what we're doing, what we're up to. But I think also, have a little discussion or give some thought to how we coordinate beyond just, exchanging information and the things that we can work. Because I think, some of you heard me say this, I think there's incredible potential power, the brand of what all this is that the state and the Commonwealth has set up. But that's kind of the easy part. The hard part is that, okay, how do we use that power, that potential of all these great companies, all these great universities working together, identifying some common objectives, and then identifying the actions that we can all take to bring those objectives to reality. So that's where looking for, you guys and us working together. I don't see this as separate. I think we see this as just operating in a certain way that makes sense to do that. So that's part of what I wanted to be sure, we're very conscious of that. We've had some discussions within being at the board level and the importance of doing this and so forth. So just kind of want to put that out there. And Don, maybe you and I follow up a little bit and get together and kind of come up with some more specifics on what makes sense and how to do this.
We're going to, and I haven't shared this yet, but we're going to start producing a monthly report out of the authority. We'd like to have a monthly report from you all too to feed into that. And we're also probably going to be considering going to 6 meetings a year instead of just 4. Now everybody hasn't heard that either. Because what we're going to hear today, there's a whole lot of things now that we can influence, that we can start doing, the governor wants us to do. In order for this to happen, because of the requirements that are placed on us as a public entity, we're going to need to be more, because we cannot do this stuff outside of the public eye, and I understand that. I want to be bringing a whole lot more to you so that we can see where we can really be relevant, not only for the Commonwealth, but also for the country, related to nuclear science technology and promoting the benefits thereof to policymakers and lawmakers at the federal and all the state levels. So after these presentations, we'll be talking about the things that we've already done and the things we're planning to do, and to get your input on that and your support, and obviously your commitment to assist us in doing so. So I think the more collaboration we have related to more information we know, what are you doing, when are you going to do it, when are you making presentations, what do you need to do, what can we do to help you, and then what are we doing, and how can we coordinate those so we're all on the same page.
Absolutely. I can see, I thought, some opportunities where both of you guys, are present or on a letter or do something like this because of your respective roles here and so forth, and it just adds to again, the power of what the potential is that we can do.
We really have an opportunity, and I think the governor is looking for us to take what they had, the previous administration has put together and really leverage it, and I'll get to that shortly. But thanks so much, gentlemen. Do anybody on the authority have any further questions for the presentation related to the commission itself?
There are some folks here we think are not members yet, so if anyone else wants to join our group, we're happy to have you. Please let us know, have a conversation.
So one thing I want to mention, we have a very good, very dynamic group actually. People are really, they want to do things, and I'm really happy to have pleasure working with them. I think
we had the pleasure to help set you up and set up your bylaws and rules and admissions and whatnot. And you may recall that we structured the 25,000, and we have the 8 individual companies that have done that. Are you planning to have any kind of organizational members that are not necessarily at 25,000 because they can't afford that much to support you?
We're giving thought to how to do this, because what I plan to do starting next month, once we get through the Labor Day stuff, is to have a little bit of I'll call it a membership campaign on behalf of VNEC, and we recognize that in doing that, we need to look at, how the costs are handled, how do we have levels of membership or participation, and so we're finishing up our bylaws with just a few little tweaks that being done on the bylaws. So in the context of that, we will approach and address that issue. I just think that we're trying to be very tight on the budget, very efficient. All these people who are working, including myself, are just a part-time thing. We're not renting office space. We're not doing things like that. We're trying to be very, very efficient, sort of how we do it. But some additional revenue would be very helpful, obviously, the more you can do. So we're gonna address that. And again, if anyone here wants to have that conversation with us about becoming a member and how we can do it and what the level of dues is. We'll certainly want to have those conversations.
Excellent, and that's why I asked the question, because I know a number of us would like to be a participant in the VNEC, but we may not necessarily be able to handle the $25,000 dues, so. Very well.
Thank you. Great.
Our pleasure,
Thank
thanks
you
so
all
much.
very much.
No further questions,
We'll be
ladies and
around.
gentlemen?
What was the timing on the news release?
Say again, sir?
What was the timing on the news release?
What's the timing on the news
Probably
release?
next week. It's a function of, again, finishing up some of the mechanical stuff on the website and some text context, and we need a couple logos are set right, and all that kind of stuff. We're aiming for next week, and we'll make sure that you all get that.
Please, and we prefer you to send us everything, because it is the authority's responsibility is to be that coordination between the actual government and your activities.
Yep.
Now, I would also say that we have a website, and we're going to be enhancing and improving that quite a bit also. Chris, you may not have heard this yet. And so as a result, we're going to want to coordinate that activity with you. We want to make sure that the public, everyone has access to all the things we're doing, when we're doing them, why we're doing them, and the information accordingly. So thanks so much. I really appreciate it. No further questions, all right, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. Then let me move on then to Roman number 5, which is several presentations that Buddy has asked us to put together related to new nuclear energy, and also a summary of his abstract related to his activities. So if I could ask Dr. Charlie Bowman to make this presentation, we appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to have a chance to talk to you about things that are going on in Virginia that not so many people know about, but we believe they're very important and could have a major impact on nuclear energy in Virginia. Just a little bit about myself. I graduated from Virginia Tech in physics, and then from Duke in nuclear physics with a PhD, and have worked the rest of my career in 3 national laboratories focusing on neutron science, and in particular with accelerator-produced neutrons, not reactor-produced neutrons, accelerator-produced neutrons. And this talk is about how those accelerators can have a major impact on nuclear energy, and that it's growing up in the state. So there are 2 corporations, small businesses, they're very small really, but we have lots of contacts with many. There's a VCU Corporation, biproduct cellulosic liquid fuel. The purpose of that business is to convert any kind of byproduct cellulosic thing like wood, hay, and so forth into diesel. What does that have to do with nuclear? That's the key to what our talk is about. And so that is a corporation located here in Virginia, near Rocky Mount. And then I lived for a long part of my time in Los Alamos, New Mexico, where we have a small business there, accelerator driven neutron applications. And basically these 2 corporations work together to bring to you the technology that I want to talk to you about here in a moment. So, but it didn't all start in Virginia. I want to go back and tell you that 1970 was a key time in nuclear energy in this country that not too many people are aware of now. But at that time, at Oak Ridge National Laboratory, they developed a molten salt reactor, which had liquid fuel instead of solid fuel, and that reactor was a very successful project. I would say it was the most successful project that the Oak Ridge National Laboratory ever put on or has put on. It got into a war with fast reactor technology at Argonne National Laboratory, who won a battle at that time and said that we're not going to have accelerators that have liquid fuel in them. It was a liquid fuel accelerator, and so it was killed, and to this day there's enmity against any effort to introduce liquid fuel into the nuclear fuel cycle. But it has some really important contributions to make. So that happened there. That was a reactor. But at Los Alamos, New Mexico, they built a powerful accelerator. It doesn't mean anything to you probably, but 1,000 MeV, 1 milliamp beam, megawatt of beam power in the beam, which is something like 100 times larger than any other previous accelerator that was built. And that came online about the same time. And it was built for pion physics. It was called a pion physics factory. Later it became my job, 10 years later, I was brought to Los Alamos to turn that into a neutron